Visual or spatial difficulties, such as trouble judging distances, misjudging steps, bumping into objects, struggling to navigate new environments, or misinterpreting visual cues, can be early and serious indicators of cognitive stress or neurological decline. While many people may attribute these problems to aging eyes or clumsiness, frequent or worsening episodes often reflect dysfunction in the brain's visual processing and spatial reasoning systems. These systems involve the occipital lobes, parietal cortex, and hippocampus, all of which collaborate to interpret sensory input, integrate spatial information, and guide movement in physical space. When these networks begin to falter, the brain receives distorted or delayed signals, making even routine navigation or object recognition challenging. Left unaddressed, visual spatial deficits can progress, increasing the risk of accidents, disorientation, and further cognitive deterioration. The underlying causes of visual and spatial difficulties are often rooted in both structural and biochemical stress within the brain. Chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and poor circulation compromise neural efficiency, while deficits in key nutrients impair neurotransmitter function and neuronal integrity. The hippocampus, critical not only for memory but also for spatial orientation, is particularly vulnerable to oxidative damage and inflammatory cytokines. Even mild metabolic disruptions, such as insulin resistance or unstable blood sugar, can impair energy availability for neurons, slowing processing speed and reducing accuracy in interpreting spatial information. Over time, repeated microstressors can alter synaptic connections, weakening the communication pathways necessary for integrating visual and spatial data. This can make familiar tasks, like parking a car, navigating a grocery store, or judging the placement of objects on a desk, unexpectedly difficult and mentally taxing. Visual spatial decline also has significant safety and psychological consequences. Individuals may become hesitant or anxious when navigating unfamiliar areas, avoid driving or walking alone, or rely heavily on GPS and other external aids. This avoidance reduces natural cognitive stimulation and further undermines neural plasticity. Accidents or near misses caused by misjudged distances or faulty spatial reasoning can erode confidence, induce stress, and accelerate cognitive decline. Emotionally, the frustration of repeated errors can cause irritability, social withdrawal, or diminished willingness to engage in activities that require coordination or spatial judgment, creating a feedback loop that accelerates deterioration. Lifestyle and nutritional factors play a central role in both the onset and prevention of these difficulties. Diets rich in carotenoids, such as carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach, kale, and other colorful vegetables, support both ocular and brain health. Carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin accumulate in the retina and brain, where they protect neurons from oxidative damage, improve visual processing, and enhance signal clarity. Omega-3 fatty acids, particularly DHA found in fatty fish and algae, strengthen neuronal membranes, improve synaptic transmission, and support retinal function, all of which contribute to accurate spatial perception. Conversely, diets high in refined sugars, trans fats, and processed foods increase inflammation and oxidative stress, directly impairing both vision-related and spatial neural circuits. Cognitive stimulation targeting visual spatial skills is equally important for prevention. Brain exercises such as pattern recognition tasks, mazes, 3D puzzles, strategy games, or virtual navigation challenges engage the hippocampus and parietal cortex, strengthening neural connections that govern orientation and spatial reasoning. Even activities like drawing, model building, or playing sports that require hand-eye coordination can reinforce these networks. Regular engagement prevents atrophy of visual spatial pathways and encourages neuroplasticity, keeping the brain adaptable and responsive. Physical activity further supports visual and spatial function. Exercise improves cerebral blood flow, delivering oxygen and nutrients to energy-hungry regions of the brain. Coordination exercises, balance training, and yoga not only enhance proprioception but also stimulate neural circuits responsible for integrating visual, vestibular, and motor inputs. This integration is crucial for maintaining spatial awareness and reducing errors in movement or navigation. Lack of activity, by contrast, diminishes cerebral perfusion and slows reaction times, worsening visual spatial deficits. Sleep and stress management are critical yet often overlooked factors. Sleep deprivation impairs the consolidation of visual and spatial memory, while chronic stress floods the brain with cortisol, which damages neurons in the hippocampus and parietal cortex. Mindfulness practices, deep breathing, and adequate restorative sleep mitigate these effects, preserving the integrity of neural circuits responsible for spatial orientation and visual interpretation. The consequences of ignoring early visual spatial warning signs are profound. Beyond increased risk of accidents, untreated deficits can accelerate broader cognitive decline, including memory loss, executive dysfunction, and disorientation. Individuals may gradually lose independence, avoid social engagement, and experience heightened anxiety in daily life. These effects compound over time as neural networks deprived of stimulation weaken further, creating a downward spiral of functional and cognitive deterioration. Ultimately, early recognition and intervention are crucial. Difficulty judging distances, navigating spaces, or interpreting visual cues should be treated not as minor inconveniences, but as urgent signals of underlying neurological stress. By combining carotenoid and omega-3 rich nutrition with cognitive training, physical coordination exercises, social engagement, stress management, and sufficient sleep, it is possible to preserve visual spatial ability, protect the brain from progressive decline, and maintain independence. Every misjudged step or moment of disorientation is a warning call, a chance to act before subtle impairments develop into irreversible deficits in both cognitive function and everyday life.